Ever felt like an island in a sea of people? Like you're watching the world through a glass wall? You're not alone. The Sigma male archetype, lauded for independence, hides a dark side few dare to discuss. We're not talking about cool loner vibes. We're diving into the raw, unfiltered truth, the crushing isolation, the silent suffering, the constant internal battles. Forget the glossy motivational speeches. This is about the real, gritty struggle of navigating life as a Sigma, the shadows nobody dares illuminate. Get ready, because what you're about to hear will change how you see the lone wolf forever. 1. The illusion of invulnerability. When independence turns into isolation. That self-reliant streak, the hallmark of a Sigma, often paints a picture of unwavering strength. You're the fortress, the one who doesn't need rescuing, the individual who thrives in solitude. But that fortress can become a prison. The walls you build to protect yourself from external noise can trap you in a silent, echoing chamber. You become so accustomed to your own company that social interaction feels like a foreign language. You might find yourself observing social gatherings from a distance, like a spectator in a play you can't quite understand. This isn't a conscious choice to be antisocial. It's a gradual drift towards a state where solitude feels more comfortable than connection. The problem is, humans are wired for connection. We crave belonging, even if we don't always admit it. The constant isolation, the lack of meaningful interaction, can lead to a creeping sense of loneliness that gnaws at your sense of well-being. You might start to question your place in the world, feeling like an outsider looking in. The solution isn't to suddenly become a social butterfly, forcing yourself into crowded spaces and superficial interactions. It's about cultivating selective connection. Identify the people who understand your need for space, who appreciate your authenticity, and who resonate with your values. These are your tribe, your anchors in a world that often feels overwhelming. Focus on quality over quantity, and prioritize meaningful interactions that nourish your soul. Remember, independence is a strength, but it shouldn't come at the cost of your emotional well-being. 2. The burden of unspoken expectations. When strong means silent suffering. You're the rock, the pillar of strength, the one everyone turns to when they need help. You're expected to be the problem solver, the voice of reason, the embodiment of stoicism. But who do you turn to when you're struggling? Who do you call when the weight of the world feels like it's crushing you? The unspoken expectation that you're always strong can lead to a dangerous cycle of silent suffering. You bottle up your emotions, convinced that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness. You convince yourself that you can handle anything, that asking for help is admitting defeat. This is a heavy burden to bear, and it can take a toll on your mental and emotional health. The constant pressure to be strong can lead to burnout, anxiety, and even depression. You might find yourself feeling isolated and misunderstood because you're afraid to show your true feelings. The solution lies in challenging this toxic notion of strength. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's courage. It takes strength to acknowledge your emotions and ask for help. Start by identifying a trusted confidant, someone you can confide in without fear of judgment. Learn to express your feelings in a healthy way, whether it's through journaling, exercise, or talking to a therapist. Remember, you're human, and you're allowed to have emotions. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of self-awareness and self-compassion. 3. The perils of detachment. When reason overrides emotion. Your analytical mind, your ability to see things objectively, is a powerful tool. But it can also be a double-edged sword. You become so focused on logic and reason that you lose touch with your emotions and the emotions of others. You become a master of analysis, but a novice in empathy. You might come across as cold, aloof, or even arrogant, even if that's not your intention. This detachment can create barriers in your relationships, leading to misunderstandings and strained connections. People might perceive you as someone who doesn't care, even when you do. You might find it difficult to connect on an emotional level, leading to a sense of isolation and loneliness. The key is to find a balance between reason and emotion. Don't suppress your feelings. Learn to understand them. Practice active listening, paying attention to the nonverbal cues and emotional undertones in conversations. Try to see things from other people's perspectives, even if you don't agree with them. It's not about becoming overly emotional. It's about developing emotional intelligence. Learn to recognize and manage your own emotions, and learn to understand and empathize with the emotions of others. This will not only improve your relationships, but also enhance your overall well-being. 4. The struggle with authority. When independence clashes with hierarchy. Sigmas don't play well with authority. They question everything, they challenge the status quo, and they refuse to conform to arbitrary rules. This can be a strength in certain situations, but it can also lead to conflict and frustration. You might find it difficult to work in traditional hierarchical environments, where obedience and conformity are valued. You might clash with superiors or feel stifled by bureaucracy. This can lead to career stagnation or even job dissatisfaction. You feel like your ideas are not being heard and that your autonomy is being stripped away. The solution isn't to become a rebel without a cause, constantly fighting against the system. It's about finding ways to express your independence within the system. Identify your core values and find a work environment that aligns with them. Learn to communicate your ideas effectively, presenting them in a way that resonates with your superiors. Be willing to compromise when necessary, recognizing that not every battle is worth fighting. Remember, it's not about fighting every battle. It's about choosing your battles wisely. Use your independence to innovate, to find creative solutions, and to lead by example. 5. The paradox of success. When achievement doesn't equal fulfillment. You're driven, ambitious, and successful. You set high goals and you achieve them. But despite all your accomplishments, you feel empty inside. You realize that the things you thought would make you happy don't actually bring you joy. You feel like you're living someone else's life, not your own. This is the paradox of success, the realization that external validation doesn't always equal internal fulfillment. Sigmas often prioritize achieving societal markers of success, like money, status, and power, without considering what truly matters to them. They focus on climbing the corporate ladder, accumulating wealth, and gaining recognition, without asking themselves if these things align with their core values. The solution is to redefine success on your own terms. What does fulfillment look like to you? What are your core values? What are your passions? Focus on building a life that aligns with your authentic self, not with societal expectations. Identify your passions, pursue your interests, and build meaningful relationships. Remember, true success is not measured by external achievements, but by internal fulfillment. The shadow of perfectionism. When high standards lead to self-sabotage. 6. You hold yourself to incredibly high standards. You strive for perfection in everything you do. This can be a driving force for success, but it can also lead to self-sabotage. You become so afraid of failure that you avoid taking risks. You become so critical of yourself that you paralyze yourself with self-doubt. You become so obsessed with control that you lose sight of the bigger picture. This perfectionism can lead to anxiety, stress, and even depression. You might find yourself constantly comparing yourself to others, feeling like you're never good enough. The key is to embrace imperfection. Understand that failure is a part of the learning process. Practice self-compassion and forgive yourself for your mistakes. Focus on progress, not perfection. Remember, you're human, and you're allowed to make mistakes. Learn to celebrate your small victories, and don't let the fear of failure hold you back from pursuing your dreams. 7. The difficulty of intimacy. When vulnerability feels like a threat. Opening up, showing vulnerability, letting someone see your true self. These things can feel like a threat to a Sigma. You're used to being self-reliant, to handling things on your own. Letting someone in means relinquishing control, and that can be scary. You might find it difficult to form deep, intimate connections because you're afraid of getting hurt. You might push people away, even when you crave connection. This fear of vulnerability can lead to isolation and loneliness. You might find yourself longing for connection, but afraid to take the risk. The solution is to understand that vulnerability is not weakness, it's strength. It takes courage to open up and be yourself. Start by building trust slowly. Share small things and gradually reveal more of yourself as you feel comfortable. Remember, true intimacy is built on trust, honesty, and vulnerability. Learn to communicate your needs and feelings, and don't be afraid to ask for support. 8. The constant internal conflict. When self-awareness leads to overthinking. Your high self-awareness, that constant internal analysis, can become a mental trap. You dissect every thought, every feeling, every action, until you're paralyzed by overthinking. This constant mental chatter can lead to anxiety, indecision, and a feeling of being trapped in your own head. You lose the ability to act, because every choice is weighed and analyzed until it feels impossible. This is the paradox of self-awareness. It can be a gift, but it can also be a curse. The solution is to learn to quiet your mind. Practice mindfulness and meditation, techniques that allow you to observe your thoughts without judgment. Learn to distinguish between helpful analysis and destructive overthinking. Focus on the present moment, and don't get lost in the past or the future. Remember, self-awareness is a tool, not a trap. Use it to understand yourself, not to imprison yourself. 9. The misunderstood nature. When authenticity is confused with arrogance. Your directness, your honesty, your refusal to engage in social pleasantries. These traits, hallmarks of your authenticity, are often misconstrued as arrogance. People are accustomed to social masks, to small talk, to polite lies. When you refuse to play these games, they may feel uncomfortable, even threatened. This can lead to social isolation or being labeled as arrogant, even when your intent is simply to be genuine. You find yourself constantly explaining yourself, trying to bridge the gap between your authenticity and their expectations. The solution is not to change who you are, but to learn to communicate effectively. Explain to those who care that your intent is not to offend, but to be authentic. Learn to deliver your honesty with tact, choosing your words carefully and considering the impact they might have on others. Some people will still misunderstand, but you will have done your part to be understood. Remember, your authenticity is a strength, not a weakness. Don't compromise your true self for the sake of social acceptance. 10. The journey of self-acceptance. Embracing the dark side and finding your light. The dark side of being a Sigma is not about negativity or despair. It's about facing the challenges and complexities of your unique personality. It's about understanding that your strengths can also be your weaknesses. It's about embracing your authenticity, even when it's difficult. It's about finding balance, connection, and fulfillment on your own terms. The journey of self-acceptance is not easy, but it's worth it. You are not defined by your struggles, but by how you navigate them. Embrace your dark side, learn from it, and use it to fuel your growth. Accept that you are a complex individual with both strengths and weaknesses. Stop trying to fit into a mold that was never designed for you. Instead, forge your own path, define your own rules, and create a life that aligns with your authentic self. This journey of self-discovery is not about eliminating the shadows, but about understanding them, integrating them, and ultimately, finding your own unique light within the darkness. It's about recognizing that being a Sigma isn't a curse, but a unique and powerful way of navigating the world. It's about understanding that your independence, your analytical mind, and your unwavering authenticity are not flaws, but strengths. And it's about learning to harness those strengths to create a life that is both meaningful and fulfilling. Don't let the world define you. Define yourself. Don't let the shadows consume you. Use them to illuminate your path. And don't be afraid to embrace the complexities of your Sigma nature. It's what makes you who you are.